Thank
Yeah, of
you.
course. But yeah, I love what you were talking about just now. You were saying, and I don't remember exactly how you teed it up, but you were saying, we got to keep fun in the contact center and put fun back into the contact center because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I wish I had something catchy to say, like put the fun back in functional.
yeah,
Um,
I like that. Put the fun back.
but what I was saying is like I saw a post today about do you use gamification, right? And it's yes, no, sometimes, and to me, like gamification, it's good, it's bad, and it's ugly. It depends how you use it. So if you just say, all right, we've got Genesis, and Genesis has this cool gamification tab that I can use, with which it is, and it does, and we're just going to institute it, and immediately our morale is going to change. No, nothing is going to change. It's it's still cultural. And I think I posted the other day on AI quality and analytics. So like, oh, another great feature. Oh, this is awesome. Now you can review every call for certain parameters for quality and get great feedback. That is awesome. But if you don't deliver it and introduce it and train your call center the right way, you're going to destroy your call center. You're going to kill the culture instead of making it a culture of self improvement instead of or versus Big Brother. I mean, that's the killer part of it. Is in the end, it always comes back to culture, in my opinion. It's why you have great call centers that have low attrition and high morale, and then maybe a change in leadership, or leadership gets lazy, or looking at culturally or generationally, what worked then doesn't necessarily work now, and all of a sudden you see the metrics going the wrong way. And then I firmly believe happy agents means happy customers. You can have the best product on the planet, but if they're not delivered by people who are engaged and are supportive of it, your customers don't get it. They stop listening.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always preached EX equals CX, whether that's, you know, poor employee experience equals poor customer experience and positive employee, because you can feel it, you can hear it when you call, and that can't be faked, that can't be coached. I mean, to a certain extent it can, but I mean, prolonged, it definitely can't.
Yeah,
So,
I was with a company once, and we tested. You said it can't be faked, so we tested agents pre-recording their greeting.
yeah.
So the customer would hear like this super happy, engaged greeting, and also it was a way to cut handle time. Um,
Yeah.
and the customers could tell. Now, granted, this was a few years ago. So the customers could tell. The employees didn't like it. They
Yeah.
wanted to greet, your engaged employees want to greet the customer. Um, I always think that there's a certain amount of employees that are frontline contact center agents that love being frontline contact center agents. Some people want to move up, some people it's a transitional job or a temp job, but typically your best ones that have been doing it for years, that's the important part of finding ways to reward them and recognize them. But they love engaging with your customer, and to take something away, to take away their greeting, they didn't like it at all. It was an interesting experiment. We ended up ditching it, but it was an
Yeah.
interesting experiment. Yeah,
That is interesting because I can imagine it's like, hey, it's Kate. Thanks for calling ABC Company, whatever it is. And then I get on the phone and say I'm sick or even, having a bad day. How can I help you? And just a different
exactly.
tone, different attitude altogether. So, with the gamification, are you saying that a lot of people will try to gamify things just to gamify it and
Yeah.
instead of actually making it a culture of improvement and measuring the right things and instead of
Well,
just, yeah,
I think, yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. So, you know, it's obvious that you would gamify your main metrics. So that's kind of a given. Um, Before you do that, you got to make sure that your main metrics are aligned with what your company really wants. So your company really wants efficiency, and your main metric is quality. Well, it's a mixed message for the frontline agent. So the first thing is making sure that's aligned, and then you have to let the agents know what you're doing, and there's got to be the with them, right? For the agent, what's in it for me? So if you want me to watch all day, like when I was an agent, I watched. Granted, that's back in the olden days, but I wanted to see, okay, where did I rate every day, every week, every month? And that was important to me to be at the top of the list. And there are agents out there that it's important for them to be at the top of the list. If you're going to ask the agents to care, well, nowadays, especially, make there be some kind of a reward. Doesn't mean it's monetary. It could be badges of, award badges. It could be time off the phone, educational opportunity, represent the company opportunity. One of the things that isn't used enough is senior leaders going to frontline agents and saying, "Hey, how can we improve our product?" You know, you want to know, you don't have to look at the complaints. That's a good place to look, but you don't just look at the complaints. Go ask your frontline agents what they struggle with the most, or what they coach customers with the most, and they'll tell you, here's what you need to do to fix it. And make that gamification too, like
Yeah.
reward and recognize your agents for the value they bring, instead of just they're a number and they're a cog in the machine.
Yeah, I love that. Because you're right. Okay, if I'm going to perform and be measured on metrics that leadership wants to see, I want to see the metrics that I want to see if I'm going to make all these improvements for you guys. So, and that even feeds into the fact of why there might be different types of dashboards with gamification tools. You might have like the leadership dashboard because they want to see different things, the agent dashboard, they want to see different things. No, I love that perspective. And yeah, you want to know where the pain is. You want to know what can be fixed. Go to the people who are dealing with it day in, day out. That's not just your customers. That's the frontline agents.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting place we're getting to. And in contact centers, it's kind of funny because maybe even as early as 2 years ago, put AI in into reduced cost. That was what everybody wants to do, and it does that for sure. I mean, deflecting calls reduce cost, no doubt. But now a lot of the thinking is, how do you integrate AI into the contact center so that it takes the cost out of the repetitious stuff, the easy stuff, the stuff where the agent doesn't really add value, and then you also make the agent's job more rewarding, more valued, because now they're involved in the stuff where they do add value. That to me is the key.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that. And that's a lot of what we touched on last time. You know what I was thinking was so a couple things. You were talking about last time, patterns that you've seen over your experience and you've been around when a lot of technologies have been explored, implemented. And so it made me think, so across your time leading contact centers, being part of contact centers, what patterns did you see with how companies approach new technologies, whether that's, a miss that they normally make or a mistake or how they would go about it that you're now seeing, if any, with AI? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I remember that we were talking about that regarding, um, nowadays, some companies will put into their goals for the year, implement AI technology. Well, that's a little broad,
Yeah.
or more specifically, pilot AI technology. Okay, well, we all know I'm going to hit that goal if that's my goal, because, well, if that's a
Yeah.
goal, you didn't say pilot it successfully. You didn't say save money. You just said pilot. Well, hell yeah. Give me a number and you don't care how I hit it. I'll make it. I'm an ops guy, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's the trick for senior leaders in the contact center space, is figuring out what the senior leader, the senior company leaders want, because they're reading things in LinkedIn, they're seeing things, they're going to the conferences and the board meetings, and they're hearing stories. Oh, AI can do this, or telephony systems can do that, and then they just turn around to their team and, okay, if you're the CEO, you say, okay, AI can do this. I want this. Do it. Not really having the understanding, which they don't need to have the understanding. That's what the people below them have. But it's the strategy of going into it and looking at, okay, how do we do it the best way? And where do you pilot it? Do you get a partner instead of a vendor? I think I said that to you before, and that
Yeah.
to me was always huge. You need a vendor that wants to partner with you, that really wants to understand your business, and also understands that they need to have some skin in the game. So whether we pilot or we implement, if it doesn't go well, then the partner should suffer a little too, because the company's typically making a big time and monetary commitment. But if the company wins, then so also should the vendor or the partner, and they should come along and then look at, all right, what do we do next? How can we better help you, and help ourselves at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it made me think it's almost like you would either need to make, and I say you, like leaders, people would need to make
Mhm.
a goal of, and like you said, everybody needs to be, any stakeholder needs to be involved in that conversation. It's not just, hey, go figure this out and then come back to me and I'll let you know what I think. Like, no, make best use of my time, help give me direction so I'm not shooting in the dark. And the goal almost needs to be determine where to pilot AI for 2026. And then you can have another goal, which is pilot AI, but you have to figure out where to pilot it first before, because like you said, okay, if my goal is to just pilot AI, that could be anywhere. That could be, back office, that could be an AI bot, like a customer facing AI bot. It could just be testing multiple different tools in a pilot environment. But I mean, it's a waste of time, a waste of effort. And then, like you said, nobody's getting anything done. And we've spent money.
Yeah, I think you hit on a good piece there, because every business is so different. So, people think of AI and they automatically think of a voice bot, which I don't know. I've talked to some samples and I've heard some voice bots and they're awesome. Okay, you wouldn't know, and sometimes they're even more pleasant than talking to a real human sometimes, which is interesting. But not every business is the same. So some businesses, they might even say on their website how much they value human connection. So when they say that, and then you're talking to a bot, if it's not, even if it is, um, unrecognizable, the customer knows, because every company should alert the caller that they're talking to a bot. But if human connection is your bread and butter, is your pride, then look for AI in other areas. I think one of the things I talked about earlier was agent assist. So, helping your agents with AI to do a better, faster job. Um, AI helping the agent sound knowledgeable in every single situation, instead of having hands off the keyboard, do a job search in whatever knowledge management tool they're in. That integration between the knowledge management tool, the IVR, and the CRM tool is a great place to look at AI when it's really technical or detailed, or, you know, uh, companies have always been enamored with the universal agent. Let's get our agents that
Yeah.
can answer any question. We don't need tier one, tier two, tier three. And yeah, you could always find a couple of those, but using AI to assist the agent, it'll allow call centers to blur that line between, level one, level two, level three, because the agents can now field more questions and sound knowledgeable. Every agent wants to sound knowledgeable.
We
They
all do.
don't want to tell the call, yeah, they don't want to tell the caller, let me look that up. Oh, gee, I'm not sure. They don't want
Yeah.
that, because that drives potentially calls the wrong direction. They want to say, "Oh yeah, I know the answer to that. Here it is." The caller doesn't know you're looking at your other screen and you're
Yeah.
seeing it in the tool. So,
Yeah.
AI has lots of different uses, not just in the bot, which is what people automatically think of. And then they think of, oh well, if the bot can answer 40% of the calls, I can reduce my headcount by 40%. True, but your customers may hate you, and that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
What about reducing your handle time because of agent assist by 40%? You get the same savings, but your agent sounds great and your customers are super happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's just a symbiotic relationship because then the agents feel smarter, they feel more knowledgeable, the customer is happy, appreciative. It was a faster call, it was a call where you're like, nice, I'm talking to an expert. And then they give a positive customer review, you retain the customer, you retain the agent, and it just goes, from
Yeah.
there.
I think that's what the critical part is picking the right partner. Honestly, because being one of those that sat through many AI presentations and vendors, you give the vendor a high level of what you're looking for, and marketing people will market, and they do a great job of it, and the system either can or will eventually do what they say it will do. But in the marketing pitch, everything looks great. It's taking the next layer and finding the right company that wants to be in it with you, wants to build with you. Um, there's no AI, or at least I haven't seen any, that's literally plug and play. It's
Yeah.
it's not like a Genesis move, like a if you move telephony systems, you literally move all your numbers and teach everybody how to use it and you're good. It's not that. It's learning. Even the AI has to learn. Um, and so picking the right partner is probably going to determine, okay, we love AI or we hate AI and it's useless.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That makes me wonder, and there's no silver bullet for this or one single answer, but in your experience, how can you tell the difference between just a vendor who's trying to sell you and someone who really wants to strategize and partner with you? Is there anything that comes to mind like, hey, anytime I've seen this, it's a red flag, or anytime I've seen this, it's a good sign?
It's No, I wouldn't say there's any kind of flag I would see. I think the critical piece is picking the team that helps make the decision. And so you either need uh, so one, typically it's the call center. All right, call center guy or lady, figure out who we want to use. Well, I'm a call center guy. I'm not a systems integration guy. Maybe I'll have my telephony experts on the phone with me, but I need more help. I need more brains that understand different pieces. I need finance. I need contracting. I need to know what's going on. The flip side, which I would recommend, is you need to hire a consultant. You need to hire someone who really understands how all this works together and let them say, all right, we understand what you are looking for. That's not a conversation for 5 minutes between me and you. That are specific questions, pages of what are you looking for? What magnitude, what interaction, what integration. Um, and then let the consultant go say, all right, there's a few vendors in the market, and there are some of the big consulting vendors can help you. um Gartner, they vendors like that will advise you. Frost, and I don't remember, but they can give you guidance. But I know there are specific vendors in the market that really they're like, I think what we talk like matchmakers, and I think
Yeah.
that's the way I'd go right now, because I think they have a better handle on who's a better match for what, and they only benefit if it benefits both.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I love what I do. And like we were talking about last time, using the consultant approach really helps you be like, hey, let's look at our before we even talk to vendors, before we even make those calls, let's look at our operations and be crystal clear on what are the top non-negotiables that we must have. And that's at the very least, I'll always tell people at the very minimum, have your top 15 to 20 things. We must have these. If we don't, it's a no-go on the, and that'll automatically weed out the vendors who cannot do those things today. And then doing a more in-depth, like, hey, these are the exact use cases I want to see and need to see, and then give it to the vendors you want to talk to, and they can all show you the same thing. And then you can compare them apples to apples instead of being like, hey, we just watched the coolest marketing pitch that, they made this beautiful video and it was a canned demo. And of course, it looks amazing. Like you said,
Right,
marketers are great at their jobs.
right.
But how does it look in theory? What does it look, or how does it look in real life? What does it look like when it breaks? And what are the honest restrictions of different tools?
Yeah, spot on. And I think the other thing that I think the vendor or the matchmaker needs to get at too is, again, like, it's not just about the vendor partner. It also has to be about the company. So back to my example of, all right, call center, go put in AI. Well, in order to do that, your CRM has to be open, and your internal systems folks also have to have the go put in AI in their goals. Because if
Yeah.
not, well, okay, your vendor says, all right, we can implement that in 12 to 15 weeks of work. Okay, great. Everybody loves it. Then you go to your internal systems like, well, we don't have anyone that can work with the vendor now. Okay, then now I'm in danger of missing my goal because it's not as important internally. And and that's the reality of business right now. If that
Yeah.
goal isn't with everybody internal, then it probably doesn't happen in time because you get pushback. Well, we have a migration in this, and we're backing up these servers, and we that internal systems folks only have a certain amount of resource too.
Yeah.
So you want to save money, you want to integrate AI. Everyone has to be on the same page in an organization, or else it just doesn't happen. And your
Yeah. I
customers
love
have to
that.
be open to it too. So it's everywhere.
Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
huge, yeah, it's a huge, you got to have the perfect storm. Um, and like you said, everyone has to be aligned. And another nice thing about, being one of the matchmakers that you mentioned is being able to get everybody on the same page, speak the same language, make sure that, IT is having their needs met, but that they're also understanding where the contact center leader is coming from and making sure they have their needs met, because no one's going to be happy if one person's goal is the only one that they're focused on. And being able to do like work share, like, hey, I know you only have a finite amount of resources. I'm going to work with the vendor team, their resources. I'm going to support
Mm.
your internal resources, make sure everyone's singing from the same hymnal, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it starts from the top and trickles down. And if you can't get everybody, because if everybody has the same goal, their incentive is to help each other. Hey, if you're successful, I'm successful, and from all ends. I love that.
I couldn't have said it better. I think you have to figure out who your power people are. So, contact center lead, IT or technology lead, or both, because sometimes those aren't the same people.
Yeah.
Telephony lead, um, and then don't forget about product. There's a lot of companies that have very specific laws or regulations around AI. Does AI make decisions? Does AI share information? As a world population, we haven't gotten to a trust point yet where it just works for everybody. And then, of course, healthcare, which is where I've been for the last forever, it seems, very specific as to who has access to information on purpose,
Yeah.
due to privacy laws. So you can have the best plan, And then all of a sudden compliance comes in and says, yeah, not comfortable with this. And so, you do have to have the stakeholders at the table. And it's hard because, look at everybody's calendar these days. There's no breaks. You don't get a break. Like, I remember when we used to get a lunch break. Remember when that has
Yeah, yeah,
you went to lunch every day. Now, especially remote workforce, you end up working from the time you log on till the time you log off. And so,
absolutely.
trying to get the senior leader from 5 different departments on the same meeting every week,
Yeah,
you know, uh,
weekly, I mean,
unless
forget
your
about it.
COO is scheduling that meeting, you're probably not going to get it done. And so
Yeah.
you need to make sure you have everybody's at least buy-in so that they're involved.
Yeah, and that makes me think, especially, I mean, even for non-highly regulated industries, I think once if you have one bad experience, that really spoils it for a lot. I mean, yes, there's always room to try again, but would you say that if you were to go into a company and say, here's what I recommend, especially for highly regulated industries, would it be like, hey, instead of just using AI and deploying it across all these red tape that we haven't figured out yet, would it be like, hey, let's have it handle the things that are non compliance related, and then kind of scale from there versus jumping into a risky situation where AI may or may not, be playing by the rules that compliance demands.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have to look at, what are you doing now? So, for example, do you verify the member, the caller, whomever through the IVR now? And what latitude does that give your agent? If you verify the caller and then the agent can say, "Hi, hi, Kate. Thanks for calling. Thanks for verifying in the IVR. How can I help you?" And then you say, "I'd like this information." If the agent can just give you the information after the proper verification, then that's stuff that it kind of makes sense that, okay, AI should be able to do the same. If the agent can do it with no other verification, maybe with one other verification point, verify your zip code, verify your home number, verify your date of birth if you didn't put it into the IVR, something that's a little different, then that's the direction to go. And I've had success with compliance people in doing just that. Hey, the agent can do it, so why can't AI do it? And then if it's anything out of the ordinary, AI has to recognize, okay, out of the ordinary, let me get you to a live agent, or let me get you to an agent who can help you further and move it right along. And also up front, if the caller can't verify in the IVR, well, then AI has to step back. If AI can't verify you, AI has to step back and go to a live agent to somehow get you on there. And you don't want to lose your caller. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure you gain that caller and say, okay, well, let's figure out why we can't verify you, and then verify you, and then I'm glad to help you.
Yeah. I love that. And when you're talking to vendors, and whether it's AI or any tool before this, um, what do you think is a question that is either, so a couple things. Where do you think people oversimplify? Or besides, something we talked about earlier was, hey, go get AI. Okay, that sounds really fun and great, but that's a oversimplification of something that's very complex. Is there any other place that you see maybe vendors trying to oversimplify that you're like, look, it's a lot more than just that? Or maybe there's a question that you're like, if you don't ask anything else, make sure you ask this one or two, three questions, or any, if that brings up anything for you.
Yeah, I think there's two areas you need to be sure that you ask or delve into. It's not two questions, but it's
Yeah.
two areas. It's time to implement and pricing or cost structure. So time to implement has to include, like I mentioned before, not just how long it takes the vendor to build the AI, but how long it also takes them to integrate with your systems, which means a back and forth between your internal product people or IT people, telephony people, and the vendor. So, vendors know when you get it on your goals, implement AI. All right, how fast can I get it done? The vendor says, oh, we can have you take piloting calls in 6 weeks. Well, great. Okay, I'm in. I sign. You have to make
Yeah.
sure internally you can do that as well, and the detail of what it takes. So I would not be the one on that conversation. You need your system people and the vendor system people say, okay, what's the API? How are we going to connect? How are the two systems going to talk to each other? So that we can make sure that we can hit a timeline. So time to implement is number one. And then the cost structure. My experience has been there's a different cost structure with everybody per call, per minute, there's all kinds of different terminology. I think you got to boil it down to say, okay, how much am I paying for this? And what is my true cost benefit? Because all the vendors will say how many calls, what's the handle time, what is your average pay rate to agents. They're gonna come back to you with a presentation that says your cost benefit upside is huge and it's this.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'd say, well, understand the cost structure in detail. How much am I paying for the development? How much am I paying per call? How much is all that? And then let me do my own with my own finance team, a cost benefit as well. So I can make sure that the two match.
That's I love that insight because you have to look at it like, vendor or partner or whatever it is. Everybody, as much as they want to help other people, they still have to have their best interests in mind. And as a company and as a buyer, you're like, hey, I appreciate that. And I'm sure that that's, what we're going for. And that is the cost. But let me look internally to see how that aligns with our roadmap and what that actually looks like.
And this is from the vendor side. A vendor said this to me once, a while back. Um, and it was meaningful. I hung up the phone saying this is the kind of person I want to be a partner with, because he said, listen, we need to get this right because we need to put your company name, as far as one of our customers, and that's important
Wow.
to us.
Yeah.
So we want to get you headed in the right direction. We want you to be happy with the product because we're putting your name on our company website. And if you're not happy with it, well, someone's going to reach out somewhere. LinkedIn is great for the good stuff and for the bad stuff too. Hey, I know someone at that company. Is it all it's cranked up to be? And
Yeah.
if the answer is anything but no, well, then
Yeah.
that vendor partner suffers a reputation loss, whether it's dynamic online or just under the covers,
Yeah.
and they don't want that. So I
Yeah.
love that there was a vendor that mentioned that it was important to him that we were happy because he's like, well, you're part of my growth
Yeah.
plan. And that was a meaningful comment for me as an
Yeah.
operator.
I mean, it's very transparent. It's like, look, we want your business. We want it so much that we want to put your logo on our website, but we're not going to do
Right.
that if you're like, hey, vendor ABC sucks and we're stuck in a contract with them. I really, you know, for as many like salespeople or as many vendors that maybe think that it's, oh, we shouldn't say that because we don't want a customer to think that we're just using them for their logo. That shows a lot about, hey, look, I do want to get it right because yeah, I want your logo, but I want you to be happy with us. I really love that.
Especially like I said, I've been in healthcare so long, but all the industries are the same. Every industry these days, they're so incestuous, right? Like
Yes.
healthcare is a perfect example. You can't go to any of the big healthcare companies and not know somebody that you work with. And LinkedIn tells you right away. So if you see another company and a peer that you worked with, oh, I know her, we worked together before. Of course you're going to call on LinkedIn. Hey, are you using this vendor? Because I see your name on the and
Yeah.
and then you've got a connection because then she might say, oh, that's not where I am, but that's over here. Let me connect you with the VP over here, and he'll
Yeah.
tell you how it's really working, and then you get to know. And so, knowledge is power when it comes to that, which is why a lot of the vendors they are good. They're not fly by night. They're not trying to make quick sales. They're in it for the long haul, and they want to make it work. So, um, for me, integrity has always been first, not do the background and see if they have it. The integrity
Yeah.
has to be first.
But
Yeah, cool.
so, Gordon, you've talked a lot about what you've learned and what projects you've been working on, and some of the pros and cons of these AI strategies and plans. So, in the market right now, as you're looking at new roles and opportunities, what mindset are you bringing to the table, or what strategy, and how does AI play a role in that, knowing that so many companies are prioritizing that?
Yeah, I think you hit it when you said AI playing a role. So today's contact center, it's still a people business. Um, and so looking for my next role, that's what I think I would bring to it is it AI needs to be a tool in the toolbox, an arrow in the quiver, or whatever analogy you want to make it. But something that you use, I mean, to stick your head in the sand and saying, no, we're not going to look at it at all, I think is a mistake. But to thoughtfully bring it in as a tool, to have your agents, supervisors, all the way up the chain understand it and embrace it, as another tool for them as well, for the company to be successful. I think that's where I would look at how to go into a company and help us grow, um, and and become the leader in that, or just improve what we're doing. It's like, before you compete with everyone else, you have to compete against yourself. So if you get better, then just by luck or by plan, you will be better in the market. You will position yourself to be better long term.
Absolutely. And another thing about all the stories you've shared and everything, and just the nature of technology and AI, everything you've learned being in healthcare or any industry, all the knowledge that you have and the insights and the foresight can really apply to any industry, not just healthcare, pretty much any
Yeah,
CX contact center role.
yeah, for sure. I mean, healthcare for the past, I don't know, 10 or 12 years, but I'm a contact center nerd. Like, I love the environment. I loved on-site. I like remote. I like figuring out how to drive better metrics and efficiency. And AI is one piece, but so is leadership development. So is building relationships. And metrics are important too. So, understanding how it all comes together and driving business ahead is my passion.
And you have a very unique lens. And I also love about you, you've made it very clear you're people first, human first. AI is a tool to augment that and enhance it, amplify it. But you have the lens of being a frontline agent who's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've had experience being a leader, leading those agents and advocating for them, and also, helping steer a strategy. So wherever you land next, I mean, you already are multiple steps ahead of the majority of leaders and companies. So, I
That's
mean,
the plan. That's the
you,
plan, Kate. That is definitely the plan.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you'll have no problem finding a role. I know that you'll just add so much value anywhere that you land. And I love our conversations. We always talk about something new and interesting.
same. It's enlightening and fun. Talking about work is fun when I talk to you.
Yeah, yeah. We're both contact center CX nerds.
For sure. I don't know that you need to put it in there, but you use EX and I use AX. So you use
Oh,
employee
yeah.
experience and I use agent experience. I've never actually seen either of those in writing.
Really?
Um,
I've seen
yeah,
EX, but also, I mean, I worked in BPO and contact center, and Oh, also, it was probably this. So I worked at T-Tech a while ago, and the CEO
Uh,
there did not like the term agent. He liked associate, but they just always used EX. So I just in my head,
I worked for a
yeah.
subsidiary of Teletech for a while too,
Oh,
a
really?
long time ago. Yeah, they Teletech has a joint venture with Ford Motor Company called
Yeah.
Percepta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for Percepta years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Exactly. Small world. Wow.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of like EX better, actually. So
Yeah,
I
because
think
it
I'm going
kind
to
of
use
goes across. Yeah. And it not every
it.
agent
It
wants
hits
to be
all
called
levels
agent.
too.
Yeah.
Like I like it because it hits all levels. Because I think, you know, part of the forgotten role in a lot of contact centers is the supervisor or team lead. Um, And I've always thought, like, you live and die by your supervisor's team. You know, they are
Yeah.
the ones that drive the business, drive morale, drive agent comfort, experience, attrition, morale. To me, most contact centers don't spend enough time focused on the supervisors. Um, and I think that's why they suffer. They need to
Yeah.
really focus on that group because that group typically is, if you don't have a good pipeline from agent to lead to soup, um, you're never going to have a good culture because you're going to be recruiting soups from outside and they don't understand your business. It's different than recruiting managers, directors, or VPs from outside because you're not down at that product specific level. But for the supervisor if a supervisor can't answer an agent question, then the agent really doesn't always trust and believe anything else they say either because they haven't worn their
Yeah.
shoes. So I
Yeah.
think that is one of the areas that a lot of places forget, um, and they shouldn't. They really shouldn't. It,
Yeah.
it
No,
it's
you're
a lot
absolutely
easier
right.
to forget them now when you're remote.
Because they're not
Um,
sitting at the end cap of
right.
the row
That's
of
right.
desks. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Wow. No, this is awesome. I'm super excited to